We do Pride Week in March because in June we're not all together. So I think that it is very much this time in the semester to really be celebrating.
For those of us who work for Simon's Rock who are part of the LGBTQ community, to be sort of visible is actually really important to the students.
Often our students may not know many or any LGBTQ adults. It's always important to remember that there may be a student who seems very comfortable in being themselves, which may very well be the case, but they might not have any role models older than themselves who are people that they actually know.
Last year I got a really touching note from a graduating senior thanking me for being a role model. And it's a student that I had interacted with, but I never really thought of myself as a role model. And for this particular student, and it was really important to that student, as it turned out, that there was somebody that they could sort of not look up to in a kind of hierarchical way, but that they could just sort of see somebody living their life and being sort of normal.
I was never one of those kids who was in, always different, always other, always something else. To Simon's Rock, I was surrounded by people who were kind of in that same boat, looking around and seeing so many other queer people, other people on the spectrum, other people who identified in similar, not straight kind of ways, was normalizing in a way I had never seen before. When you're 16, 17, 18, that's when you're really kind of figuring out your way in the world. And to be able to do that as a queer youth in a completely supportive atmosphere is groundbreaking. We all know Simon's Rock is not just about the education in the classroom. It's about the lived experience outside of the classroom, how to live in community, how to exist in the world. And I think navigating that as a queer youth is particularly key. I think other educational institutions could really kind of look at some of what we're doing and adopt some of that into their own models.
Nowadays, in the year 2021, we have this vocabulary about living your authentic self. And I think if I reflect on that vocabulary today, going back to 1989, I think that's really what the college meant to me, is that living openly and freely and honestly and authentically. There's a level of optimism and kind of, regardless of who you were, Simon's Rock affords you an opportunity of who you want to be and who you want to become. And so I think that's a very powerful message.
The idea was to give these very, very young students the clues, the events, the very, very important events in queer history, not only in what is queer and what is understood as queer in the United States or in Europe, but all the different forms of being queer around the world. We're also talking about the intersections between being Black and being queer, being brown and being queer, being from any other place and being queer. They can reconstruct that history, and that is basically some sort of empowerment.
I was really raised in the gay community. I was pretty alienated in high school. I went from being super involved in lots of things to being very checked out, very closeted, honestly, about my family. My life flipped, immediately from sort of getting onto campus. I felt lighter. I was encouraged to, was supported to spend time and going to Albany and sometimes New York City for protests and other direct actions, and to do AIDS education on campus. It was a coming out. I really got to come out at Simon's Rock.
Simon's Rock is very much a place in which you are allowed to be exactly who you are and grow into who you want to be. I'm transgender, non-binary. If it wasn't for Simon's Rock and having the community that allowed me to explore my sexuality, my gender expression, I wouldn't be the person I am today. And I think that's so important for students to realize that it's normal to be queer. It is normal to have pride in oneself and showcase that to the world. It is the most amazing feeling to be seen, be heard, be valued.
Simons Rock was the place where I realized that I was different than who I thought I was, and it was a place that really, where that was totally fine, right? And where the community was supportive of that journey, where I could go in as someone who perceived myself as heterosexual and probably wanting to be a math major, and come out as someone who saw myself as gay and as a psychology major, who took dance classes or did all sorts of things that I would not have expected from myself. Simons Rock changed my life, and I think that's true for so many.
I came here first as just a kind of member of the community before I started working here. People have always treated me with open arms, even when I didn't work here and they only knew me as Lisa Donahue's wife. I feel like I mostly just get to exist as my whole self. Simons Rock supports LGBTQ students by allowing them to just be. I think what's so cool about Simons Rock is that all sorts of identities, but especially queer identities, are not that unique here. People just accept it, and there are lots of exciting things about a person to understand. One of them might be their sexuality or gender identity, and it, I think, allows students to just exist and be themselves.
I think Simons Rock supported my journey as a gay man because it asked me to ask deep, serious questions of myself about who am I? Who are you? That really began for me in earnest at Simons Rock. Simons Rock influenced my art and what I write as a novelist by showing me that my experience matters and is worth talking about and is worth being heard. The world can learn so much from placing its trust and faith in young people the way that Simons Rock does. The place really saved my life.
Pride Week at Simons Rock is about celebration.
I am so incredibly elated that there is a Pride Week.
And the more we come out and try to live authentically, the better place the world is.
I hope that as we experience Pride Week, we both get to grow in our thoughts and our ideas and have some moments of challenge and growth, but also just have some moments that are really joyful. So we've got pride and joy going on during